We've seen a couple of examples of how punctuation matters. Um, in this lecture, we're going to take a look at the comma, which is a very useful little punctuation device, and it seems to be modest and seems to not matter that much. We could just willy-nilly sprinkle commas around our sentences, but that's not true. Um, and there's a story from a play by Christopher Marlowe, who's a contemporary of Shakespeare, accounted to be a great playwright in his own right. Um, and in it, in this play, he's writing about the English Civil Wars, the civil wars that racked England back in the day, back in the medieval era. And a general who was fighting for the rebel leader, the leader who wanted to be king, captured the actual king, and he didn't know what to do, or he knew what he could do, but he didn't want the responsibility on his own hands. What should he do? Should he take the king prisoner? Should he put him in jail? Should he imprison him? Should he kill him? This was a weighty, very important decision, and he wanted someone higher above him to make that decision. So he sent a message off to his leader and waited anxiously for instructions to come back. And so with that cliffhanger, we'll move on to the next slide. We'll find out what happened. So after a long day of waiting, the message came, and it was in writing, so that was good. He would have unambiguous proof that he had been merely following orders, and he opened it up. He opened up the message, the missive, with trembling hands, and there he saw the message. And he probably said a few bad words in medieval English. Because the message wasn't so unambiguous, you see, because it said, "Fear not to kill the king." But what does that mean? It is missing commas, all important commas, that would change the meaning of the phrase, depending on how you looked at it. Did it mean, fear not to kill the king? That is, don't be afraid to kill the king. Or did it mean, fear not to kill the king? That is, you had better be afraid. You had better not kill the king. Well, he knew what he was being ordered to do, but he knew that no matter what he did, he would be held to account, and he would be held responsible. And all because of a comma that was or was not there. Now, I hope your life never hangs on such a slender thread as a comma. But as we can see, commas do matter. Commas change meaning. And in the last lecture, I talked about the phrase "woman without her man is nothing." What is that? Is that woman without her man is nothing? Or is it woman without her man is nothing? Do you see? So it changes meaning. And we have a couple real life examples over here. I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Okay. This actually appeared on a magazine cover. Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking her family and her dog. I don't want to go over to her house for dinner. Okay. And then this real life sign that actually appeared. Hunters, please use caution when hunting pedestrians using walk trails. Okay. I'm not going to take a walk there. Okay. So punctuation matters and commas matter. So that's the lesson that we're going to take with us as we go into this lesson. We're going to find out when we should use commas and how we can use them so our meaning is unambiguous. Now, why do we need rules for commas? Back in the third grade, Mrs. Grundy told me, put a comma wherever you pause. So that's the rule that I followed for a long time. But that doesn't quite work, and we'll find out why. Why doesn't that rule work? Well, I'll give you an example from my own life. Now, you may have noticed I'm not the smoothest of speakers. Well, when I was a kid, I had a terrible stutter, much worse than I have now. And so when my teacher told me, when Mrs. Grundy told me, put a comma wherever I paused, I did. And so my writing ended up looking like this down here. Okay. For my summification, I went someplace and I went to summer camp. Okay, so I was putting a comma wherever I paused. in the middle of words. Okay, so that rule doesn't quite work. And what about the person who never pauses at all? They just keep on talking without a break or a pause or lacuna like an oncoming freight train. They wouldn't use a comma. They might not even use spaces. So again, that rule doesn't quite work, does it, to put a comma wherever you pause. So we've come to the end of the discussion about commas, and you never thought that commas, those little, tiny little marks, could be so complicated. Well, they are. Now remember, commas save lives, as we saw. Let's eat Grandpa. Okay, so I hope you use a comma there. You aren't suggesting that we actually eat Grandpa. And to leave you, we'll take a look at the example above that actually appeared on somebody's resume. And so my hobbies include cooking dogs, shopping, dancing, watching movies, and belly dancing. So the cooking dogs is a little bit problematic. But we're also left confused as to whether this person likes to watch movies and watch belly dancing, or whether it's watching movies and perhaps doing belly dancing. Okay, so anyway, don't leave your reader confused. Use commas correctly, and you'll find them very useful, very helpful in your communication. And the full course will go into even greater detail. And you'll have a text reference. I hate to say textbook, sounds too much like school, but there you have it. And you'll have quizzes to assess or test your knowledge, your mastery of the concepts. And I hope you'll take advantage at the end of this course of the coupon for a discount to the full course. But if not, always please remember to leave comments, ask me questions. I'm always glad to respond to students and help in any way that I can.